Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. Welcome, boxing fans. Right, if you're new to the channel, please do remember to hit the subscribe button and also like this video as well. Of course, if you want to get more content like this, then click the bell notification as well. Right, let's get into this. Khan versus Brook, the final press conference. This was a heated presser to say the least. Actually, to be honest with you, the fighters, yes, they were pretty heated at the start, but it was really past about the halfway point. The trainers went at it, hammer and tongs. I mean, it was really interesting to see Bomac and Domingo go at it. I mean, definitely some jibes in there, some a bit unsavory, some, okay and kind of in the spirit of things. But there were some controversial moments. Of course, we'll touch upon that. Before we do, though, I'd want to say a little bit about the workouts. So, Kell Brook looks like he's in phenomenal shape. He looks ripped, and to be fair, he looks in phenomenal shape. And Ade, who I'm sure a lot of you will watch his channel as well, Ade Oladipo, he rightfully said that Kell Brook, though, for a couple of years, has looked a little bit like a Ferrari but with no engine. So it looks really good, but doesn't really have the substance to back it up and kind of gasses out quite early on. So he's got a couple of good rounds in him, or maybe four is what Bomac said actually. And after that, though, he struggles. 149 is only at £2 more than what the welterweight limit is. I think he's really a 154 fighter, and I think he's outgrown welterweight and has outgrown it for a couple of years now. How easy has he made the weight? I don't know. I mean, he's had 9 weeks to be faced. Had quite a long time to adjust, but how does his body hold up? Is his body able to kind of retain its integrity really at that rate? I'm not sure. He did hint at potentially coming in overweight and then paying a fine. So I think it's £100,000 for every pound, which is obviously quite expensive. So we'll see. You'd imagine he'll try and be as professional as possible, but it might not be a bad thing if he comes in £1 or £2 overweight. Obviously, you have to pay the fine. I don't know his financial situation, but from a purely tactical point of view, the bigger he is, probably the better. Because one, he won't be as weight drained, and two, he'll have the size advantage over Amir Khan. Amir Khan, on the other hand, the workouts looked a little bit. I think he looked a little bit slim, in the sense that there were some people saying he looks a bit old. I don't know if he looked old. I think he did definitely look very lean and had the six pack and all sorts. So he was still very shredded underneath there, but he doesn't have that kind of that muscle mass. Which, to be fair, I guess you don't really want as a fast twitch fighter, which he is. He is a speed fighter in the sense that he's got fast hands. His feet are not as fast as they used to be, but he's still got the fast hands. He wants to be light on his feet. He doesn't want to be carrying unnecessary weight. The only, I guess, concern is what's his punching power going to be like? And I'm not 100% sure. Is he going to be extremely sturdy as well? So if Kell Brook pushes him back in the clinches, etc., as well, how is he going to hold up? I don't know. It is the honest answer. So some interesting, interesting observations from that, and it doesn't tell you a whole lot. I think, again, like how people look is very misleading at times. I mean, we can use the very obvious example of Tyson Fury and how he looks, and a lot of people will say, well, how come he's able to perform at such an optimum level? And everyone's got different, I think, different physiques, which brings out the best to their ability, or best of their ability even. So we'll see. I think Amir Khan coming in slightly leaner is a good thing for Kell. I think moving on to the presser, as soon as they pan the camera on Kell Brook, I don't know if it was just me, because I looked through the comment section it was actually an IFL TV. IFL TV somehow managed to post the presser first, because of course they were there before Sky actually premiered it. I don't know whether Sky were particularly happy with that, but maybe IFL TV or Sky knew that would happen, and they kind of were happy for that to happen. They staggered it, but either way, as soon as they pan the camera onto Kell Brook, I just thought, oh, you look a bit gaunt. Like his face, he just looked really tired and gaunt. And I was like, this weight cut is killing him. Now that was my initial thoughts. But then after looking through the comments, everyone else, no one else really seemed to notice it. So I was just, and I may have just been thinking that, oh, actually, I kind of was already expecting him to look a certain way. And so I was looking for it almost, but I'm not sure. So maybe you guys in the comments can let me know your thoughts. Did you think he looked quite gaunt? Do you think he looked healthy? For me, I'm going to stick with my guns because that's kind of what I observed. But again, there's a little bit of bias in there because I am a bit of an Amir Khan fan. So I might even be looking for things to give Amir Khan an advantage, to be fair, more than anything. So that was interesting. Amir Khan looked okay. I mean, yeah, he didn't look particularly gaunt from what I could see. And then obviously Bomac was there, Domingo, and then the two fathers were there as well, which is quite interesting. The fathers, Cal Brook's father talked. We'll talk about the fathers first because we can get that out of the way. Cal Brook's father said, obviously it's a long time coming, and they've kind of sidestepped us, etc. And it's been a fight that's been kind of overshadowing Kel's career for quite some time. So it's nice to be able to get the fight now, and we'll see how it goes, but. We're really happy because Kel's obviously up for this fight and he needs a big fight to really get himself out of bed for. For Khan's dad, he was like, yeah, of course, this is his biggest fight. But for us, it's not really. He said, like at the time, we didn't need to fight him, etc. And we were doing other things. And he said, but look, all the talking is done now. Everyone's trained really hard, and it's just a matter of time now until they get into the ring. He said apparently the camp had been really strict, so they hadn't allowed. So Bomac hadn't allowed his father or anyone externally to come in. So it was just the training team, which his father isn't a part of technically. So that means his family, friends, anyone else, they wouldn't have been allowed in the camp, which I thought was quite interesting, and it probably would be a good thing because it just meant no distractions. Then if we go on to the two fighters, I think the trainers has actually got the most entertainment value to it, so let's leave that to last. We go into the fighters then. Khan obviously saying, I'm going to knock him out, blah, 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 and Brook kind of saying the same thing, saying along the same lines of what he said in The Gloves Are Off, which was, he doesn't respect me, and, in the same room, and I think he said something like, so Kell Brook said, we shared the same room. And obviously, I think he was saying, like, we were in the same room. But he said shared the same room, which kind of, like, the wording can be taken in a different context. So then Amir Khan jumped on it and was like, no, we didn't share a room. Don't say that, Cal. That never happened. He's like, don't say that. I don't know what you're thinking, but that definitely never happened. And, like, kind of teasing him, really. It's a bit childish, to be honest with you. But either way, yeah, I kind of, Adam Smith kind of told Amir Khan and Kell Brook off because I think Kell Brook said something ridiculous after that. He said something like, basically something really obscene, which actually I'm not going to repeat on here because it was just so obscene, like what he said. If you want to hear it, you can watch the presser. But in response to kind of the implication about them sharing a room, he then responded and in something like really explicit. And I was like, what the hell? Like, this is just getting out of hand. So then Adam Smith was like, look, guys, you need to relax, etc. Amir Khan also then brought up apparently Kell Brook had said, oh, he's got a poppadom chin. So he said, oh, why did you say that? He thought that's quite a racist thing to say. No, I haven't heard that interview. Maybe he did say it, but was he really being racist? I think he said, like, no, I'm saying, like, I said it because poppadoms are fragile, right? Which they are, to be fair. So maybe he said it without realizing. Maybe it was a subconscious thing. I don't know. But either way, like, he shouldn't have said that. I think that was a silly thing to say. And, like, he should have realized it might open him up for other things because obviously poppadoms are an Indian delicacy, and Amir Khan is Southeast Asian, so kind of similar region. But I think both of those kind of instances that were a bit just silly, and then you could see as soon as Amir Khan said, like, "Oh, that was a bit racist," Ben Shalom was like tapping him on the shoulder furiously, like, "Don't stop, stop, stop!" Like he was kind of he had a straight face, but his arm just said it all. He was like tapping Amir Khan on the shoulder, like, Amir, no, 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 leave it, kind of thing. Like, no, don't bring that up. Because for boxer, right, they can't afford this to be like scandalous or be or like break the kind of rules and regulations of Sky's broadcasting terms, for example. So like people swearing and like being, for example, like obviously you don't want anyone to be um being talking about racism or talking about homophobia or whatever else, right? So um he was just like, I think he was like petrified. So he was like tapping arm on the comic on the arm, and like it's the first box office event that boxer are doing around Sky and wants it to go smoothly. So that was really interesting to see. You could just see him pooing himself, and then eventually, kind of, they got past it, and it was a very, very short kind of thing. And I was thinking, oh god, like this is so stupid. Like you can just tell that Amir Khan was thinking of things to really get under the skin of Kell Brook, and unfortunately, it was kind of working for the most part. Then it was like a question of like both fighters really just talking, and Amir Khan saying things like, Kell Brook doesn't really have much left, and I'm going to send him into retirement. And Kell Brook saying basically the same thing, really along the same lines. But then it got very interesting because they then went to Domingo they went to Bomac first. Bomac said, "Look, Amir Khan's been fighting. He's been training immensely. Like he hasn't moaned once. He hasn't said, no, I can't do this, or oh, why do I have to do this, or oh, I'm giving up." He said that Amir Khan has literally done everything he's asked of him. Obviously, this is Terence Crawford's coach. And not only has he done that, but he said that he tried to push Amir Khan to his limits. He tried to basically break him so that he'd give up in any instance throughout the camp. And he said he didn't. He said he was like fantastic in that regard, really hard work ethic, and yeah, like just kind of completely, yeah, like maxed himself out, I guess, in the camp. Now you can see that as one of two ways. You can see that as, okay, fantastic, like especially as Amir Khan said, it's been the hardest camp he's ever had. You can see that as one of two ways. Either one, you can say, okay, he's saying it's the hardest camp he's ever had. He's left no stone unturned. Bomac saying that he kind of never gave up, kept on going to the max. Could he have left it in the gym? Could he have overtrained? Potentially. Or does it just mean that we're going to see one of the sharpest Amir Khans we've seen for a couple of years? We're not going to see Amir Khan in his prime. I mean, I know both fighters are saying you're going to see the best Amir Khan, you're going to see the best Kell Brook. We're not going to see that. Let's not be stupid. I doubt that. I mean, there is a chance, but it's a very, very small percentage. I'd attribute 5% really to that. So what I would say is that we will probably see an Amir Khan who's been better than maybe against Billy Dibb, probably better against Terence Crawford, potentially better against Samuel Vargas, like that kind of, and Phil LaGreco. Like that's maybe as far as we're going to go. I don't think we're going to see an Amir Khan that fought Canelo, like he was really sharp. I don't think we're going to see an Amir Khan that fought like Maidana as well. Like that was really kind of almost his peak. So we'll see, but I'm very, very doubtful on that. Then for Kell Brook, well, actually, let's park Kell Brook to one side because I was talking about Bomac. So Bomac said that, and talking about how Amir Khan's really been maxing himself out, really impressive, and they've got this kind of father-son relationship almost, where he doesn't take any crap basically, and he's like, look, this needs to get done. You need to do it. And Amir Khan's like, yeah, I'll get it done. So like a really strong bond seems to be formed, and just in one camp, which is quite impressive. Obviously, he respects Bomac and Terence Crawford a lot. You're saying, Terence Crawford's giving a lot of advice, and same with Bomac. Obviously, he's training him. Interestingly, how will that dynamic show on fight night? Because they've only had one camp together, really. Surely Amir Khan will go back to type in a lot of moments in that fight. To be fair to Bomac, he said it was just about sharpening the iron. So I don't think they would have made fundamental changes to how he fights, but I think there might be small nuances, or even which might, well, they should make a difference. It's just a question of whether Amir Khan is able to implement them in in a real fight scenario in real time, right? So is that muscle memory really there after only having one camp? Let's see. It'll be interesting whether there are any differences there at all. So anyway, so yeah, Beaumont talking about that, and then Domingo, they asked him like, how's it been for Cal? He said, look, it's been all good with Cal, etc. And he said, I'm surprised. Sometimes like trainers and fighters say the weird and like dancers say the weirdest stuff. Like sometimes I feel like they actually, to be fair, it wasn't really Amir Khan's side. It was Kell Brook's camp. Like some of the things they said, it almost was like putting Kell Brook down. So like Domingo was saying, oh, I'm surprised Amir Khan took this fight because, like, he's a big superstar, didn't have to take this really for Kel. Is the one who really needed this. And I'm like, why would you say that? He's your fighter. Like, you're basically saying that Kell Brook, status wise, is below Amir Khan and he needs this fight to, like, kind of get on par with him. And I was like, that's a really weird thing to say. Like, why would he say that? So then he said that, and then he just said, look, so I'm surprised he's taken it. I said, I think he's made a mistake. So did Kell Brook said the same thing, actually. He's made a mistake about the weight and also taking this fight because, like, he thinks, like, both of them said they think that, Kell is shot, basically, right? And he's not. He also said about, the camp, and then Amir Khan asked Domingo, did the sweat taste good? Because I'm sorry, but I'm just going to give my honest opinion on this because I found it absolutely vile. It was a disgusting video. I'm not sure why they filmed it or why they even showed it on social media because literally, like, I've seen people on Instagram, other pages, and like boxers literally being like, I've vomited after seeing this. It's so don't watch it if you're a bit queasy. It's basically a video of Kell Brook with his shirt off and like he's squeezing all the sweat into like this cup and like uh obviously he's done it a couple of times. There's all this sweat and it's like this much of sweat, right? And Domingo says some kind of like remark supposed to be funny, which is like, oh, like gold or something, or gold or something along those lines, right? And in the end, he ends up downing the sweat. Like he drinks Kell Brook's sweat. That's absolutely disgusting. Like absolutely disgusting. Like I'm sorry, doesn't like Domingo is probably like from what we've seen a really really good like world class trainer. Kell Brook, phenomenal fighter. But what the hell were they thinking? Like it's just disgusting. Like absolutely vile. I just watched that, like, I can't believe I just watched that, and I was just really hoping that it was like a prank and like it was just apple juice, but then it wasn't because in the presser, like he didn't deny it. He was like, "Yeah," and then you could tell, right, in that exchange, Amir Khan got the better of him because he basically was like, "No, that's vile. Like you shouldn't do that." Blah blah. And I think Domingo said something stupid, like, you know, I don't know what he was saying. Like he was basically you could tell he was struggling. Domingo's normally quite good with his words, and he's normally quite good at navigating a presser and also like questions of when he's being put on the spot. He wasn't good at that, and he's silly because he should have known that was going to come up. So if he knew it was going to come up, he should have had a response in like ready. He should have had a response ready. Instead, he didn't. So either he didn't have one or he struggled to come up with one because it's just so like in my eyes, it's completely like ridiculous thing to do. Maybe he just thought I actually have nothing to say in response. Like I've done this now, it's out that I don't know what to say. I'm going to just have to deal with it. And then Ahmed Khan said after, okay, are you going to like drink his piss basically in the evening, like later on? And I was like, this is like, and that was it. Like you were like, okay, like Domingo, you may as well just step away, go home, like go back to your like hotel room. This exchange is over. But he still carried, and I was like, no, it's done. Like he tried to kind of defend it, like, oh, kind of. I think he even tried to play the respect card about like Trent. I was just like, come on, man, like you lost this, and you shouldn't have done it then if you didn't want it to be brought up. I just thought it was silly. Um, So silly. And then anyway, Bomac then said about Domingo. So Domingo said that apparently Bomac is only training Amir Khan for a paycheck, right? So he said, look, he's talking about how hard he's trained, etc. But they've only had one camp together. He said he's just there for the paycheck. Him being in the corner is going to make a difference. Bomac then lost his rag. He was like, not in like, I think it was pretty controlled. He basically said, he was like, sorry, excuse me, where were you for the Terence Crawford fight? Which, can I say something, by the way? And Domingo can say whatever he wants, but the problem with Domingo is that he's almost too open at times. So he was really open in some of the interviews when they asked him about why you're not training Kell Brook. And he said, and I remember him saying this, that he didn't think Kell Brook would beat Terence Crawford. He thought he wasn't, like, at that stage in his career, he didn't think that it was worth him training him because he didn't think he'd be able to beat Crawford if he trained him. So how can he then turn around and say, like, oh, I didn't think I had enough time? It wasn't to do with time. He didn't say that. He did say about time, I think, as well. But I think the main thing was that he wasn't happy with the fact that Kell Brook took that fight. Now, he then tried to respond by saying, like, yeah, about the time situation, and otherwise, yeah, I would have. And I was like, no, you're lying here. And then Bomac was like, no, you basically think he's shot, which is why you didn't went in the corner. He's got a good 4 rounds, and that's it. And Domingo was like, oh, you know that, do you? And he was like, yeah, I do, because like he fought Crawford, and we saw that. And he said, at least, like Amir Khan, the reason why we chose to train Amir Khan, we're happy to, is because he actually showed how like he lasted a lot longer than Kell Brook in there with Crawford. And then Domingo was like, well, Kell Brook had to get like sparked out. Amir Khan quit after getting like hitting the balls and stuff. And I was like, okay, that's just stupid. Like it's just trivial stuff. Which, yeah, that was really interesting. And then, so I was just thinking to myself, like, what is going on? Like, this is carnage. Then it was like Domingo saying, oh, you're going to keep on shouting, because Bomac was like basically going off. And he was kind of, to be fair, like he wasn't really letting Domingo speak at times. So I think Domingo was like, are you going to let me speak? And he's like, are you done? He's like, I'm done when I say I'm done, Bomac was saying. And then Domingo said after Bomac stopped, he started talking, and Bomac just talked over him. And he's like, so you're not going to let me talk then? He was like, no, he's like, I don't want to hear what you got to say. I don't want to hear your voice or something. And then Domingo, he actually tried to impersonate him, which I thought was really rude. Like he tried to impersonate his American accent. I was like, that's okay, that's just uncalled for. And then, this is a bit weird. This is the kind of thing that I'm kind of wondering. Like, Domingo is a really knowledgeable guy in boxing, but in terms of social etiquette and like, this comes not just for him, but a lot of boxers and like boxing coaches. Like, he then said, like, someone check his like blood pressure, because Bomac's quite a big guy, and I was like, that's a really low blow. Like, why? Like, why say that? And like, Domingo's obviously there with his kind of t-shirt on, his arms out, and like obviously he's all like pumped up. He's quite built, Domingo. I was just like, that's so unnecessary. Like, there's no need for that. It was just it ended up becoming a really nasty exchange between both of them. But in the end, anyway, I think, again, it's quite hard to say that Kell Brook and his team won that exchange. But at the end of the day, these types of presses, these gloves are off, etc., they absolutely mean nothing when it comes to fight night. Well, it means nothing if they don't then capitalize on that slight mental edge. And it is a slight mental edge. I don't think it's a huge one. Yes, of course, the talking, the getting under someone's skin, it can help. But I don't think Kell Brook's going to go into the ring so crazed that he's just going to come out swinging. I think we've only seen that a few times, and that's been, for example, David Haye, Tony Bellew. Like, David Haye literally just came out trying to swing at Tony Bellew, and that obviously backfired. Same with, these guys. It's completely different with these guys. I think, yes, there is a huge amount of animosity, but I don't see Kell Brook coming out with red mist. There may be a moment. So, for example, if he ends up being, well, if Khan makes him look silly for the first 3, 4 rounds, which I don't think is going to happen, by the way, even though I don't think that's I think the first 4, 5 rounds are going to be really competitive. Then we'll see what happens. But I think, yeah, Khan, if he somehow manages to make Brook look silly for the first 3, 4 rounds, and then kind of like maybe mocks him in the ring, says something, or like kind of does the Billy Joe Saunders, when he misses, then and again I don't think this is going to happen. I think there's a very minimal chance of this happening. Then I can see Kell Brook getting red mist. I can only, I mean, Amir Khan, when if he gets tagged, he will just get red mist anyway. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the nature, and that is a big weakness that he has, unfortunately, which is that he wants to get into a fight as soon as he gets tagged. So we'll see, but really intriguing build up. Of course, the fight is going to be tomorrow. I cannot wait. We are going to be doing a live watch along on our YouTube channel for that. If you're watching this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, do follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share it as well. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, do like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, click that notification bell and also comment as well on who you think is going to win. But for all of you guys watching on all platforms, do come over to YouTube tomorrow. So Saturday, we'll be starting at 8 p.m. on our YouTube channel. It's Quality Shot, one word. Thanks very much, guys, for tuning in. Please remember to smash the like button and subscribe. Stay safe and well, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much.